To take Gardner. Once he was there, I said, hey, let's take a risk, but take a guy that's 6'6.5", 320 pounds that can run 4.8. I think, right here, the rewards are going to be large if we can do what we think that we can do, and that's get this guy in shape and get him playing up to his capabilities.
New head coach Tony Dungy to take 2 defensive players in the first round. The former defensive coordinator has had his way, it seems.
Yes, he has. We said going in that defensive line was our #1 need, so getting Marcus really fit that bill. For now, we've locked Tony out of the room, though, and we will try to get to the other side of the ball eventually.
You lost 2 defensive tackles, Santana Dodson and Mark Wheeler, in free agency. Do you see Marcus being able to step right in, playing the nose next to Warren Sapp?
Absolutely. Marcus was very successful moving inside this year at North Carolina. We felt like with Reagan Upshaw, we would upgrade the pass rush, and with Marcus, we would hold the point of attack at nose tackle.
Any thoughts of trading down some other players there that you might have moved down for? Actually,
in trading down at this pick, there wasn't a lot of activity. There was a lot of activity at 12, but there didn't appear to be a lot of activity at 22, so we stayed and very happy.
You've gotten the defensive line need out of the way. What needs can we look to for the second round? You've got the 5th and 11th pick in the second.
Well, we've said offensive line, and we've said secondary. Those are the needs. I'm not sure at what's on the board now. I think there's some awfully valuable players that seem to be falling, so you'll have to wait and see.
Munchak, a perennial Pro Bowler, and Sean Farrell were taking, and it's funny that one of the Bird Dogs, as a matter of fact, the man that drafted Sean Farrell for Tampa Bay back then in 1982, Kenny Herrock, said, who's now with Atlanta running their draft, said that Hardings reminded him very much of Sean Farrell, who was a pretty good pro for 10 years. Let's go to Gary Danielson. Your thoughts on Hardings to Detroit?
Statement you made is what the Detroit Lions liked about Jeff Hardings. It's a 10-year player for him. He's going to fit right in. He's got great activity on the offensive line. And when you look at the highlights of Jeff Hardings playing in the Big Ten, you see a guy that moves well, 288 pounds, but a guy, obviously, he's going to be able to pass block. But what the Lions liked about him, being able to fit that guard position, they've lost a lot of players, but now with Hardings, a guy they had targeted for this second pick, they feel they got a guy who can short set with a lot of 3-step drops in the Lions offense and a good run blocker who does not spend a lot of time on the ground. I think this is a perfect fit for the Detroit Lions. They maneuvered very well, and they got a guy who they think they can both run block for Barry Sanders, give him some more yards, and pass block for the #1 offense in the league. A real good, aggressive draft for the Lions so far, a fit with Jeff Hardings, a guy who can take that position and play for 10 years. Let's go back to Chris Berman. Chris?
All right, Gary, thank you. Mel, Joe, the pick by Detroit, you like it?
I like it. I think offensive line certainly an area of need. There wasn't any question in my mind. I mean, you pick up Ray Roberts from Seattle, you lose Lomas Brown. So you've got some linemen moving, but still it's an area where you've got to protect Scott Mitchell. And I thought that one of the points that was just made is just absolutely perfect. That offense is a short step, get rid of the football, quick offense. Therefore, you've got to be able to be strong at the line of scrimmage. That's what Hardings looks like he can do.
Who's best available now that we get to the solid playoff teams in the draft?
Well, I think when you look now, you see a lot of defensive ends. Tony Bracken, certainly. A guy like Leland McElroy, an outstanding running back at Texas A&M with that great speed and that home run hitting ability. Ray Lewis, the productive middle linebacker in a year where there are just not many inside backers. Jabbar, who's creative. And, of course, Lawyer Malloy and then Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson, the pure tackle. Hardings, the pure guard, was just selected. And Jason Dunn, he could be there for Philadelphia or Baltimore at the end of the first round. Ingram, if he was just a little bigger and a little faster, would have gone a little higher in the draft. Allstott, the pure fullback, maybe for the Pittsburgh Steelers at the end of the first round. Moulds is a guy I think is the best after the catch of any wide receiver in this draft. Ray Mickens is short but great leaping ability, tremendous one-on-one cover man. And Brady Smith, he was the one who outdid Dwayne Clemens as the leader in the nation for tackles for loss. Dawkins is my underrated player. People say he's a straight liner, but I think he has some wiggle. Jason Odom, I was with at the Hula Bowl, very steady, very consistent player. Dawkins, great special teamer, can play corner or safety. Toomer, of course, brings the size. I think he's going to be a hot property when we get near the end of the first round. And Jerome Woods, the pure safety, a late first, early second rounder as well. Matt Stevens is my special player, and I listed him as the 40th player overall because going into the year, he was projected to be one of the top 15 to 20 players in the draft. A cornerback at Appalachian State, but he tore up his knee at the end of October, had major surgery. He's now working his way back to 100%, ran a 4.48 and a 4.51 last week during a workout. He may be ready to go by September. He's going to be a great second or third round pick.
Well, the Buffalo Bills are now on the clock, and they have a little over 4 minutes with which to make their pick. And usually the Bills they've drafted so low in the first round because they went to 4 straight Super Bowls until coming off a season ago, when they picked Reuben Brown in the middle of the draft. they've always had a handle on a player that they think that a lot of people have rated about 38 or 40, but they have rated it about 26, 27, 28 where they're drafting. For example, Buffalo, following their Super Bowl years, as we take a look at how they've done, there's a special skill to drafting late. You see when mistakes are made high in the draft in the first round. Last year, because they had the offseason, they picked 14. They got Ruben Brown, who they think is going to be excellent. But at 27, they get Jeff Burris, who starts now at DB till he got hurt last year. Thomas Smith, who starts at corner, they drafted 29th. John Fina, who in 92, they drafted 27th. And in 91, after they went to the Super Bowl for the first time, the second to last pick went to Henry Jones, who's been to a Pro Bowl. So to hit this many this late is a special skill. Here's what Buffalo is trying to decide right now. They did not, when they made their board up a week or two ago, expect that electric Leland McElroy would fall this far. Now, they've just signed Thurman Thomas to a new long contract, and they have Derek Holmes, a great find last year in the 7th round. So this isn't an area of need for a team that had Bruce Smith played in Pittsburgh. They feel they might have had a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Andre Reed is not back. He could be back. We'll talk about that later. I'd like to see him back at Buffalo. Billy Brooks doesn't look like they can sign him, so they get Quinn early. They need a receiver, so it's McElroy or Eric Moulds from Mississippi State. That's the dilemma, and I actually can't tell you. No, not that I'm not allowed to. They're debating this right now. Let's quickly, while I debate it, let's go to Sal in Baltimore. Sal?
Chris, up the road in Philadelphia right now, they're entertaining offers to get out of the 26th pick. Like we said before, they lost the opportunity to get Mobley, Reggie Brown, Marvin Harrison, Eddie Kennison. They need a tight end, and John Gruden, the offensive coordinator, does like Jason Dunn out of Eastern Kentucky, but I'm not sure they take him with that pick. They may want to trade down and go for Marco Battaglia later in the 2nd round. That's a possibility. Johnny McWilliams, a tight end out of USC, is not even on their board, is not really in consideration at this point. So the Eagles are scrambling to see what they can do. Now back to Chris Berman in New York.
All right, Sal, under 2 minutes ago, another thing to consider, and Buffalo has had so many great years under Coach Bruce DeHaven at the special teams of outstanding special teams. I think McElroy is higher rated, but I think they got to look for a receiver.
Moulds. Buffalo Bills with the 24th pick in the 1st round select Eric Moulds,
there you go,
wide receiver from Mississippi State. Philadelphia is on the clock.
Well, Eric Moulds, the way the Bills have him scouted, he's got good size. He adjusts to the ball. The only knock on him, and I'm going to ask Sterling Sharp about it, in Mississippi State, he certainly saw no offense similar to the style that he's going to see with the Buffalo Bills. But again, he averaged 31 yards on kickoff returns. That's a need. And a size, possession receiver. Here, they got Quinn early on one side. Sterling talked about Eric Moulds. Do you think this will hamper him playing in not an advanced type offense in college?
Chris, I really think we'll get an opportunity now to see how good this guy really can be, because he didn't get a lot of opportunities at Mississippi State. As a return man, yes, he's excellent, but look at the body size, the weight at 204. He's going to be able to play in the slot where Andre Reed made a name for himself and go inside and make catches like this and make people miss. This is the best yards after the catch guy in the entire draft. Coach Godfrey also agrees with me. This guy is for real. I mean, he's a ball-hawking type, loves to catch the ball in his hands, and he likes to make the special catch. He's the kind of guy that goes after the type footballs that a lot of guys in the NFL will give up on. Great one-handed grab right here, concentration on the ball. He feels like he can make every play a larger one, and that's the thing you want in a system like Buffalo. Quick hitting if they decide to go K-gun with no huddle. This is the guy you want inside, because right now I don't think he's going to be a big-time player at wide receiver for him right now, but I think they're going to get a lot from him as far as a return man, and they're going to work him in outside before they move him in. They're going to work him outside before they move him inside. So let's go to Chris Myers.
All right, Sterling, one of the scouts here in Dallas told me why Eric Moulds has great talent. He's a me guy, and he's a player they wouldn't draft. Also, Dave Wanstead told a scout, Wanstead had Moulds at the Senior Bowl and said he wouldn't take the guy if he was in the 7th round. Couple of reasons. Once, prior to a game during practice, Moulds ordered pizza and had it delivered to him on the field. He also dropped 9 balls and had an attitude about the person who was throwing the ball. And when Wanstead addressed some of the players at the Senior Bowl afterwards, gathered them all in a group, he noticed that Moulds wandered off by himself over at the locker and was kind of just undressing. Considered a me guy and a player that certain teams like the Bears would not have drafted. Let's go now to Mark Malone, who's with the New York Jets.
All right, thank you.